welcome to another TipHaus Insider Webinar. My name is Michael Corson. If you've been to the last few webinars we've been focusing a lot on operations, best practices, things like that. I'm very, very excited to share with you something that you probably already noticed in your dashboards. That is our new table views. So new reporting, sales page, work shifts page, ETA page, and now you'll see your breakdown beta. I am so excited to share with you kind of what we've been building, why we've been building it, and then give you some ideas that hopefully will jumpstart or kickstart some ideas in your head about how you can use this to make your processes better. Before we dive into all that, just a little bit of light housekeeping. There is a live chat and Q&A session at the end, so don't have to wait for the Q&A session. If you have questions, jump into the chat, jump in there, say, hey, I'm so-and-so from wherever you're coming in from. We'd love to say hi. If you have questions, I have a team over there. They're going to be answering questions throughout the webinar. If there's anything that we feel like would be an awesome thing to cover for the whole group, that will go straight to the Q&A and I'll cover it at the end. If you do have to hop for any reason, we know the restaurant industry is a very busy place. So if you get called away, don't worry about it. We'll send you a recording afterwards. And then stay tuned in the chat. There's going to be helpful links. There's going to be links to tutorial videos, webinars, case studies, all kinds of stuff that our marketing team likes to pop in there. So definitely engage in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. We'll say hi. Again, my name is Michael Corson. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at TipHaus. If you've been with TipHaus for any amount of time, I'm sure we've talked before. I love giving these webinars. I love sharing all the new things we're doing at TipHaus. Today is especially special, so let's jump right in. So why did we decide to change our tables? If you've been using TipHaus for some time, you'll know that the tables that we have work very well. What we kept on kind of figuring out over time and through our processes, and if you're somebody who spends as much time in the reporting pages as I do, is that a lot of times there are some walls in TipHaus that you used to hit where you would have to kind of stop what you're doing, maybe export what you're doing into a file and then pull that into Excel to really do some data-driven analysis or to really drill down into the data points you want to see. So our kind of overarching idea with these shifts was, can we get this from a kind of view everything all in one and then have to pull it out when you need to do specific things? Can we get from that kind of operational standpoint to, can we just give you buttons and tools that allow you to go to the page and very quickly get to exactly the data you want to see without having to leave TipHaus at all? If you've been playing around with any of these buttons, I think you'll see that we've achieved that. If you haven't been playing around with these buttons, you'll probably get the most out of this webinar. I'm going to show you a few things that I like to do, a few ways that I've been trying to think about this just to speed up my own processes. A few things that you should keep in the back of your mind as we're kind of talking about this is, are there ways to get faster answers for operational questions? Are there ways to do your end of pay period reviews to just check the data that would speed things up that maybe weren't possible with the old reporting pages? Are there easier ways to do audits, or is there a way to export the data in a way that is exactly what you need from the reporting page when you're needing to compare the POS and TipHaus data? Is there a way to export that in the format you already need so you're not having to export and then cut down columns? Ideally, we get this to a place where you don't have to export at all and you can kind of see everything in Dash. And then lastly, if you are an org admin or you are a GM for multiple locations, is there something that you've built for yourself, some kind of custom view that you think the rest of your team could benefit from? So I'm not going to say too much. You come up with your own ideas, but those are the ways I'm kind of breaking this down, the ways that I'm kind of thinking about this. So we're going to go through the reporting sales page first. You'll notice quite a few things that we're going to talk about on the reporting sales page also exist on the work shifts page, on the ETA page, on the breakdown page. So if something does exist in multiple places, I'll mention it, but I'm not going to recover it each time. However, each one of those pages I'm mentioning does have its own sets of unique filters. So I will go into anything that's unique about each page. So let's jump into the sales page first and just kind of talk about different data points, different things that we have available now. We're going to talk a little bit about how you view your information. So how does the table actually display and how does it move around the page as you navigate? And what are the improvements we made there? Some big ones we'll talk about are locked column headers, which were a big ask for a long time, 1,000 rows of sales per page, a full screen mode, a enhanced compact versus expanded view. And then probably more interestingly would be our new data column. So we're now able to see tender types at the payment level. We're able to see sales category in kind of a filtering way, check numbers, which were a big point of friction when trying to talk to TipHaus, and we're talking in sale IDs and you're talking in check numbers. We can now talk in check numbers or sale IDs or both. Some enhancements to custom team adjustments, dining options are now present in the table, which is going to open up some doors in the future for some exciting functionality. Tip types, QR distributions, different ways of searching, different ways of filtering. These are all things that are now present. Rather than just talk about it on a slide, I am going to hop into my demo account. So I'm going to come over here. And if you are familiar with my demo account, I have 3 locations. These are all fake locations. We always like to focus on Bogey's Bonanza. To get to the new reporting page where we're going to start, if you're following along on your own machine, on the left-hand side, you can always expand this view. And we're going to go all the way down to this reporting tab. And then I'm going to collapse that. The first page we made updates to was the sales page. To kind of go over the updated data points here, you'll see that there are a few differences in the way this appears just right off the bat. I'm going to call your attention to a couple buttons here on the right-hand side. The first one is this lock button, which will unlock or lock the table headers. And I'll show you what that does in a moment. And the second one is this enter full screen mode. Now I'm on a single day today. We've only had 4 sales today. So I'm going to go back to the last pay period, which will bring up a lot more sales. So you can see here, it's showing 1 out of 100 sales. But now we have the ability to go all the way up to 1,000, which makes things a lot easier when you're combing through big data sets. Additionally, one of the things we heard over and over again was, well, I love that we can see a lot of sales, but now when I scroll down, I can't see the top column headers anymore. So this is this unlock button. If you lock that up, now as you scroll, you get to keep those column headers. So you're not finding your $10.45 and then wondering, okay, what kind of number is that? Additionally, if you want to get the best of both worlds, you want to say, okay, I want the lock column headers, but I also want to see more results. This is where you can enter full screen. A fantastic option to enter full screen kind of once you've made your selections and made your views. Additionally here, and I'm going to give you a preview of the next thing I'm going to talk about, is if you come to the view, you'll see I'm on Michael's view, and I'll show you how to make one of these for yourself. You can see compact, which has just a handful of values on it. You can also grab these columns widths and change them up. So if you need to see more or less, or just scale things out the way you want them to be, you can do that. And then if you go to the expanded view, you can see all of our new functionality. So in addition to sale ID, we now have check numbers. So if you're talking to TipHaus and we give you a sale ID or something, you can say, hey, what's the check number? We can pull it out really quick. Or if you give us a check number, we don't have to ask you for the sale ID. We can just find it. A lot of these rows here have these fuzzy search bars. So if you want to just do a quick fuzzy search for just bartender sales, you certainly can. This will pull things up. It'll take some time since I'm on 1,000 results, but there's our bartender sales. Maybe you know that you're looking for bartender sales 6612. You can pop that in as well. It will pull that out. Maybe you just want to see certain tender types like cash tender types, things like that. Not any in this case. Maybe you want to see your credits. You can type that in there and it will pull up all sales that match that tender type. These can be used in conjunction with one another. So you can get pretty creative with your quick filtering, but pretty easy for you to see kind of how these things have expanded and how things have increased. Additionally, I don't have any custom team adjustments here, but if you did see a custom team adjustment, now when you click on that blue custom team adjustment bubble, you can now go in and edit an existing custom team adjustment, which is fantastic functionality. If you have any questions about any of the new custom team adjustment functionality, definitely go to the custom team adjustment article, take a look, or just create one, play around with it. It is nothing wildly groundbreaking, but in terms of ease of use and kind of how you interact with that tool, definitely a quality of life upgrade, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. I'm going to remove these filters here. And I want to get into the next slide, which is how do we actually customize our view? So you can see there's a lot more data points to play around with. We definitely want you to enjoy that. But a lot of times the difficulty with viewing things in a single program is that you don't want to view everything. You just want to drill down into a handful of specific things. So I'm going to show you a couple ways to do that, starting with custom table views, which are really customizable columns for these tables. So if I pop back over into my lab account here and I click this view expanded button, I have my compact, I have my expanded view. I also have a configure columns view. When I click configure columns, it's going to do exactly what you'd think. It's going to say, hey, do you want to see any saved configurations that we have? I have some views that I've made myself. I have my Michael's view. And today I want to create a new one just for this webinar. So I'm going to say webinar view. I can make this webinar view available just to myself, which is very, very handy. I can also give that access out to the GM admins, or I can give it out to org admins. So if you create a view and you're saying, hey, I have a view here that's really just showing me what I need to see to do my events adjustments. Well, that's great for me, but maybe there's 3 other GMs that also help you with those adjustments. Give it out to your other GMs, let them know what you've built and show them how you use it. Definitely a lot of room for operational time savings here. For now, I'm just going to make this for myself. So everything I see here will just be in my account when I come back in. And all I need to see for today is I want to see the employee and job code. I definitely want to see the check number. But really, I just want to see checks with a service charge. Maybe I'm going to do some event things. I need to see which event sales had service charges. So I'm going to save this and apply. It will automatically take me to my webinar view. Now you can see I'm just seeing a handful of columns and all that clutter is gone. I can widen these out and kind of make it nice and easy to view. These selections you've made here in this view will apply to your export. So when you export this, you will just see these 4 columns, which is incredibly handy. So if you want to do column adjustments, things that show kind of limit the amount of data points you see in the table, this is the way you're going to do it. And then again, if you need to access a different one, you'll see your compact and expanded will be there forever. When you click configure columns, you can see your saved configurations or create a new one. So this is where you come in and you'll be able to select between different views. There is no limit to how much of this you can do. This is fantastic functionality on its own. And I've gotten a lot of use out of this and a lot of time savings out of this just by not having to scroll left and right, just cutting things out of my view until I'm decluttered and I can move quickly through whatever task I'm doing. The real power behind this comes when you go to filtering. So if you think of custom table views as being column edits, filtering is going to be row edits. So which rows do you want to see? So I'm going to come to my next slide here. We did this via saved search filters. So I showed you fuzzy searching. I'm going to show you now what multi-select filtering looks like and some of the things we built in. This is where most of the differences page to page are going to come in. So we'll give you the ability to multi-select filter. You can save these as your private views. You can pin multiple filters. You can quickly access frequently used reports by saving these reports as filters and then just quickly clicking into them. So for example, maybe you just want to see last Friday's sales by job code, or maybe you just want to see service charge tips at a single location, or maybe you want to get to a point where you can just click on a view and it just pulls up all your event sales, or just all the sales that you made custom team adjustments to. The possibilities here are endless, and there are a ton of different use cases. This is one where we're really excited to see how you use it. I know for me, getting quickly down to custom team adjustments or refunds and things like that, special sales, special things have happened on, is a view that I like to save. So let's go ahead and create one of those together. Again, the fuzzy search filters are here. I'm going to keep this kind of column view in place, but I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to go to more filters here. These are pinned search filters. So these will work as multi-select filters. I'm going to come straight into this menu here to show you kind of the full scope of this. So when I'm in here, I can select previously saved filters. So maybe I made something where I want to find an individual employee sales or something like that. I can also just start clicking on filters. And then if I like what I have, I can then go back and save it at the end. There's no limit to how many you can have here, and there are a ton of use cases. So I'm going to make some selections for my employees. Maybe I just want to see Carson. We'll use the same example as I did when I was testing this out. And maybe whenever Carson is in as a bartender, he's really just ringing event sales or something like that. It's a weird use case. You could certainly do it this way. You could certainly set this up however you'd like. Maybe the employee you're searching for is your event employee, or maybe the job code is your ghost event job code or something like that, or your online orders. Whatever you can imagine, you can have this there. You could also add in another employee level. So you could do multiple employees if you wanted to compare, maybe say, hey, I want to see the difference between Lon's sales as a bartender and Carson's sales as a bartender. Well, rather than having to export that out of TipHaus, pull it into Excel, do work and get to the bottom of what you're really after, you can come in here now and you can set it all up in TipHaus and kind of filter it in the same way that you would in Excel. Right now, I'm just going to come here to Carson, go bartender, and I'm going to come over to sales. I want to see only service charges because those are what I need to custom team adjust maybe in this case. I could also say, hey, just show me sales with custom team adjustments, or just show me sales that don't have any distributions on them. Or, hey, I want to see every sale that's been refunded or something like that. Fantastic options. You could put in multiple check numbers here too. So if you know all the check numbers for your sales, you could pop them in. However you want to think about this. For now, I'm just going to say just service charges. You could also do some advanced filtering. So you could look by the direct sale ID. You could look for sales categories, which is kind of interesting. So if you wanted to see here under sales categories, say, just show me any sale that had wine on it. That might be an option that you might get some use out of. Or just show me, hey, show me any service charge events that were maybe paid in cash, where the service charge was paid in cash. Fantastic options here, all of them. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. And I'm just going to save it just looking for Carson's bartender sales. And I'm going to do this as a webinar view. Again, I'm just going to give it to myself, but I could give this access to other people in my department based on their role. I'm going to save and apply, and it's going to put those filters in place as I select them. So I have a save filter here, webinar view. I have my view as webinar view, and now I'm just looking at Carson's sales. So from a top-down view of like what this would look like, I'm going to go back to my expanded view. I'm going to remove my save filter. And maybe this is something I have to do every pay period. So at the end of every pay period, I need to go look at Carson's sales. I need to do something to them or check them or make sure that the service charges are displaying correctly or whatever it might be. So I would come in here typically, and I would have to do a lot of searching and filtering and getting to the bottom of it. Or maybe you would start on the breakdown page and search for Carson and then use the hyperlinks to come here. Ideally, now that we've had this set up, it becomes kind of just a handful of button clicks to get where we need to go. So I'd go to my view, go to my configured columns in my views. I would choose the webinar view and apply it. And then I would go to my filters and I would say, hey, I want to use an existing filter, my webinar view, and apply it. And now I'm down to what I want to view. So let your imaginations run wild on how you might use this. Think about what kind of views would be important for you to use, and start building with it. This is the real core of what we've applied to every page. So I'm going to go quickly through the other pages, and then we'll get to Q&A. One thing to note here is for these reporting pages, if you are configuring columns, those will be present and filtered out as you do your exports. So cleaner workflows, faster payroll prep, reduced administrative work, fewer task switching type duties where you're needing to leave one spot or one software and go to another one and then come back to your original software to make your edits or something like that. It can all generally be done without leaving TipHaus or without needing to export anything. If you do, those exports will even be better as well. The updated work shifts page. This has a lot of the same features that we talked about on the previous slide. So I'm going to go quickly through this, but I'm going to pull out a few different filters that are unique. So coming back to Bogey's Bonanza, I'm going to come here from the same reporting page, sales. I'm going to go to work shifts. And again, you'll see the same things. Locked headers, unlocked headers, full screen view, that kind of stuff. Some fuzzy logic filtering. the ability to change the column headers, fairly simple, straightforward stuff. Where the real power is here is going to be in the more filters button. And you can see my filters from the previous view exist on this view as well. So these will be sticky, but they're quite easy to remove if you need to. So I'm going to pop into the filter view for the multi-select filters and show you some things that you can do here that are unique to the work shifts page. First off here, locations, employees, job codes, job payroll code is unique. If you prefer to not go by job code name, but you actually know the job payroll code. In this case, they're the same as my job names, but they might not be for you. Nice little quality of life enhancement. Tippable status, only show me job codes that are allowed to interact with tips or not. Absolutely fantastic for groups that have many administrative non-tip job codes, and then maybe a subset of your business is the tipped portion. Well, maybe you don't want to see your thousands of shifts that include your housekeepers and administrative people and that kind of stuff. Maybe you just want to see the people that work in the restaurant. Well, you can configure this and tell us what's tippable and what's not and go that route. You can also go time and shift. So show me specific shift IDs, show me only standard shifts, or include shifts that are created in TipHaus. We can do custom recurring shifts and things like that for you. Some of you probably take advantage of that. Now easy to filter for those. You can also filter just for your shifts that missed a clock out. This is a big one. So if you want to come in here and say, hey, show me all my missed clock outs. I hear from a lot of people that sometimes TipHaus is easier to get to the bottom of where you need to make shift edits than going straight to your POS or your labor system. If you're one of those people that likes to come into TipHaus and get an idea of what missed clock outs there are so that you can then go make the edits elsewhere, we've made that easier than ever. You can just click this button. It will show you all missed clock outs. Lastly, financials. You can say, hey, only show me shifts that actually resulted in that employee getting a take home, or show me shifts where the minutes worked received tips. Similarly, maybe you're somebody who does their cash declaration or tracks paid cash, things like that. You can go straight to only shifts with declared cash or straight to only shifts with paid cash and get right where you need to go. So very, very simple. Kind of use case for this is maybe you at the end of every pay period just want to check to make sure that everybody clocked in and out correctly. So maybe you have a view where you just have only shifts that missed a clock out. You can save that. Same exact stuff is on the reporting page for sales. You can give that to different roles. You can keep that for yourself, however you see fit. You can save it and then quick access it later. Fantastic time savings for anybody who likes to use TipHaus to kind of get a holistic view of shifts or things like that. Also fantastic if you're driving towards a specific kind of use case, maybe reviewing, did your employees declare cash correctly or something like that. Very, very easy to do now. Moving on quickly, I'm going to go to the updated ETA page. This is probably the one that got the lightest touch. The touches that we did make were with accountants in mind. I've made it a point over the last year or so to talk with as many accountants and payroll people using EarnTip Access as possible to kind of get a sense of what we're missing here on the ETA page. So again, in addition to just like the unlock table headers and full screen, we decided not to touch very much on this initial page. This page seems to work quite well. It will show you exactly what's going on with whatever pay period you've selected. And really no columns here should really ever be hidden. Like if you want to get a full picture of what's going on with your EarnTip Access account, you're going to want all those columns there. We debated, but there's not really a good reason to condense it. Where the real value came in here was on the payouts page, where we do give you some ability to look into different payouts. Now, this is a demo account, so I've never paid out from it. But you can see in the expanded view options, you can do compact or expanded, where this is something that we heard quite often is, hey, I just want to get a quick list of how much I've sent out over a date range. Fantastic. That's what we gave you here. The expanded view now includes some columns that accountants ask for quite frequently, which are kind of real-time ACH indicators. So you'll now see, in addition to when you click the payout button, well, when did the ACH actually initiate from your account? When did the ACH actually complete? Where did the ACH actually draw from? With the last 4 digits of your bank account number? And then are there any problems with the ACH? Is it still pending? Is it still in progress? Did it fail? Anything like that will be listed here for you to view. So that ideally, if you do need to make a comparison for some reason against your bank account ledger to the actual payout buttons that were clicked, you can come right here, export what you need, and include that ACH information in there to match it up quicker than ever. So hopefully, if you're an accountant that's in the audience, you get some use out of this. I can tell you about, I think the day after we released this, I had to do this kind of work with an accountant, and it saved me a solid 30 minutes just to do a handful of dates. So if this is something you've struggled with, I really like having this ACH information in there. It really comes in handy. If you do run into a situation where you're trying to use it for the first time or confusing, come to the chat, click support, email me, however you want to reach out. Happy to show you how it works in real time, first time you use it. But hopefully this kind of quick overview gives you an idea of how this would work. The breakdown page. This is the most recent update and probably the scariest page to update in TipHaus. This is where everything needs to work perfectly, where when you click that export button, you're actually exporting a payroll document that's going to turn TipHaus's numbers into money. This is something we are still working on. There's definitely still some updates that need to be made, but it is working quite well already. So I'm going to come back here. And on this left-hand side, I'm going to go up to the breakdown page, and you'll see right above this breakdown, there's now a breakdown beta. So whenever we release major changes like this, we like to give you your uninterrupted experience. So if you're still getting used to the new pages, you can still use your old breakdown. It still lives here. It does everything that you would like it to do the same way it always has. If you're interested in trying the new experience, there is the breakdown beta page, which is what I'm going to be covering. And you can see it looks a little bit different. You do have the ability, again, to drag these columns, to unlock headers, to expand the screen, all that kind of stuff. Everything here works exactly as it did before. It's just broader filtering. And none of the filtering that you're doing on this page is going to impact your exports. So the concern there is being, if you select export currently, and you want to select one of your payroll exports and you want to bring that in, we don't want some errant filter that's been selected in the background to impact that. So there's no risk there. Everything that you see on your screen is what you see on your screen. Everything you choose to export will be the export. That could change in the future, maybe some kind of custom exportable view or something like that. But for now, if you do want a custom export, come to the chat, come to support. We'll help you get one built. I want to show you, in addition to kind of, custom columns and things like that work exactly like they did on the other page, I do want to show you the filter options here and kind of show you how this would work. So for the filters, a little bit less here, but still powerful. So you could go for employees, you could filter out multiple job codes. If you remember kind of in the old view, if you wanted to compare 2 job codes or something like that, like show me servers and bartenders, you kind of were in a position where you either had to scroll up and down a lot, or you had to export the file and then filter down for those job codes. The fuzzy search still works here, just like it did on the old page. So you could search for servers or you could search for bartenders and pull those open. But if you now want to do both, you can now do both. So you could type in bartender, pin it, you type in server, pin it, and now compare those 2 job codes together. Or maybe you want to put in everybody who's in a pool and just look at those job codes, or everybody who receives from a rule, just look at those job codes. Easy to do. Again, you can show tipped employees or all employees. This would be tipped employee in TipHaus would be somebody who rings a sale that has a tip on it, or has a tip in their take home, or interacts with tips in some way. A non-tipped employee by default is going to be somebody who never has a tip under their name and never has anything in their take home for the pay period you're looking at. So basically somebody who got to the end of the pay period and basically didn't touch tips at all. Tip share job codes, show me job codes that share or receive tips from rules, things like that are available. And then of course, location filtering, same savings, same filters, same things that you always want to see here. For an example of how you might use this, maybe you don't need to see the individual sales or take an action, but maybe you do want to see just your event sales at a high level. You just want to say, hey, I know how many event sales I had over the last 2 weeks. I just need to check that the number matches in TipHaus. You could certainly come in here and you could do your filtering and do everything like you used to. You could also just set a filter for your event employee or set a filter for the job codes that ring in events, and then come in and just select that filter and go straight to where you need to go. Fantastic options here. Fantastic usability. This is somewhat a work in progress. I wanted to include it on this webinar, even though it is in beta stages. So if you are playing around with this and something isn't working the way you're expecting or something like that, as what a beta is for, again, your normal breakdown is always here, always ready for you to go until this is 100% through QA. If you do see a problem, please let us know. Reach out through the chat and we can help you out. But without further ado, I do want to cover just one more slide before we get into Q&A. So some ideas to kind of round this out, to kind of bring together some of the ways I'm thinking about this, some practical tips and tricks. I would say if you're here on the webinar, start thinking about your top 2 to 3 saved views. So what are things that you are constantly doing? What are frequently used filters that you're constantly doing in TipHaus and constantly having to drill down to? If you find that you're constantly hitting those same buttons or typing those same keywords into our fuzzy search logic, consider saving it as a filter view, either for a column constriction or a row constriction using the filters, and get used to clicking the new buttons. This is one of those features where you could keep on doing things the way that you want to do, the way you've always done them, and that works perfectly fine. But there's all this time saving there that you kind of have to get out of your comfort zone and start getting new button clicks in. But if you do take that leap and start building these filters, the time savings are there on the table for you. I would say create role-specific reporting views. So if you think that your 2 to 3 saved views would be valuable for somebody else, or maybe the process is so easy with your saved view that you could now delegate it, maybe consider delegating it. Either walk your coworker through how to build one for themselves, or give it to all your GMs and then show them how to use it. A lot of times these SOPs go from, these long one-pagers with 5 or 6 steps. With these kinds of views, sometimes those SOPs can go down to go to the reporting page, click the correct filter, and then apply a custom team adjustment, which is something that's hopefully so simple that anybody could do it. Check number filtering for audits. So if you are ever talking to TipHaus and you're given a sale ID or something like that, I've told my team to now give check numbers out as well. But if for some reason they give you a sale ID with no check number, just ask for a check number. We can give it to you. And don't worry how you're talking to us. Sometimes we would get conversations where somebody would drop us a check number and we'd say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't view that on my end. I need a sale ID. Feel free to talk to us however you want to talk to us. Ask for whatever number you'd like, and hopefully blow back any kind of friction that was there between different naming conventions for sales. And then maybe just one that would be good for everybody. I think most accounts are using custom team adjustments at some point or another. Custom team adjustments are fantastic, but it is a powerful tool. So as a payroll process, maybe you want to build one of those filters right now where you go in and you just filter on the sales page for just show me sales that have custom team adjustments. Pin it for yourself or give it to your team, and then give it a shot. At the end of your pay period, maybe go in, click that button, see how many custom team adjustments are getting applied. And then you could explore with us either, hey, is there a way where we could get away from doing so many custom team adjustments? Or is this just good enough for me? I do want this to happen, but I do want to be able to just review it before the end of the payroll cycle. I think that one's a good starting point if you're wondering what might be useful for you. I think a lot of people use that. We hope to see you on the next webinar. We're still working on when that will be and what that will be, but there's always new content coming out. If you want to see any of the past webinars, go to YouTube. If you want to reach out and ask questions down the road, support@tiphaus.com, an excellent way to go. Use the chat button in the client dash, send an email, whoever you reach out to, we're happy to help. But hopefully this gets your wheels turning. Hopefully we see some support requests coming in saying, hey, I have an idea on how I want to use this. Can you help me? Or, hey, I have an idea how we can make this even better. So please, please, please reach out, and thank you all for joining.